What is up guys, my name is Chase and you may know me as your local Nintendo fanboy, but I'm here to make a confession. I do actually play other consoles. I know, it's very embarrassing. I've pretty much played Nintendo my whole life, starting with the Nintendo 64 and Nintendo GameCube, but it wasn't until 2018 when I finally got my very own PlayStation console, the PlayStation 4. And so for today, we're gonna Nintendo switch things up. We're gonna take a look at my entire PlayStation 4 collection. First off, we have Astrobot Rescue Mission. This is, in my opinion, the best PlayStation VR game, at least on the PlayStation 4. It makes use of the PlayStation VR in ways where it doesn't feel like a gimmick, really. I mean, there are some parts in this game where it's like, oh, you have to move your head a certain way or something. But for the most part, this is a very fun 3D platformer that takes place inside the PlayStation VR. So I just think this is a great use of the PlayStation VR, and it's just like a lovely experience. Next up, we have Batman Return to Arkham on the PlayStation 4. This is a remaster of the first two Batman Arkham games, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. I actually really enjoy the Batman Arkham games. I was pretty late to the party when it came to Arkham Asylum. I think I played it like a few years after it came out, but I really enjoyed Arkham Asylum and I really enjoyed Arkham City. I think weirdly enough, the combat is very relaxing and like satisfying, so I wanted to pick this up as a way to play the Batman games on the PlayStation 4. Next up, we have BioShock the Collection on the PlayStation 4. Here's my hot take. I'm not the biggest fan of the first two BioShock games, and I feel like BioShock is a really weird trilogy, where the first two BioShock games, you know, they feel very familiar and they feel like the same game, and then BioShock Infinite comes out of nowhere and it just feels like a totally different series. And I personally really enjoyed BioShock Infinite. I couldn't really get into the first two BioShocks, but from what I've seen, BioShock Infinite runs really well on the PlayStation 4. It was my first time playing it, so I'm glad I got to experience it. Next up, we have Borderlands Game of the Year Edition on the PlayStation 4. I picked this up for a few reasons. One, and I talked about this in my definitive video collecting guide, but right now PlayStation 4 games are pretty cheap. Like, you can find especially third-party games for pretty cheap prices. So I've just been like going to GameStop and finding whatever cheap PlayStation 4 games that they have that I've heard good things about but I haven't played yet. And since I've never played any of the Borderlands games, I figured this was a perfect time to buy it. I really like the art style of Borderlands. It's like a very interesting looking art style. And from what little I know about Borderlands, it seems like it's a pretty like fun and lighthearted and silly little first-person shooter. So I'm definitely down to try out the Borderlands games. It's somewhere deep in my backlog. And speaking of which, we have Borderlands The Handsome Collection. This comes with Borderlands the pre-sequel and Borderlands 2, but obviously have not played the first Borderlands, have not played the second one, and I also have not played the third one. We have Borderlands 3 on the PlayStation 4. So I do have all of the Borderlands games in my collection, I just have not started any of it yet. But yeah, like I said, it's pretty easy to go to GameStop and find these games for relatively good prices. So I figured since they're going for pretty good prices right now, I might as well just get the whole collection so that if I do feel inclined to play all of the Borderlands games, we already have it in my collection. Next up, we have Catherine Full Body on the PlayStation 4. This is the, I believe it's called the Special Edition. The Special Edition comes with this cool steelbook here and a bunch of other little goodies. I posted a video on my second channel talking about video game bonuses, including the Catherine Full Body bonuses. But yeah, this is a game made for absolute perverts. I actually really like this game. I think it's funny. I think it's like, you know, cool little puzzle solving. And we do in fact get some pretty girls. Next, we have Control on the PlayStation 4. This is another game that I honestly have yet to even start playing, but I've heard some pretty good things about Control. I don't know, I can't really tell you anything about this game because yeah, I have not started it. I've only like read a few reviews about this game, but I am looking forward to hopefully playing it somewhere in the future. Next up, we have Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time on the PlayStation 4. Once again, I talked about this in my definitive video collecting guide, but I picked up this game on the PlayStation 4 just because it felt right to play this game on the PlayStation 4. Since Crash started out as like a PlayStation mascot, I guess it just feels like Crash Bandicoot is at home on the PlayStation, so I got the PlayStation 4 version of this game. I did actually complete this game. It's a really fun game. There's a lot of really cool game mechanics in this game. There is one particular level, and I'm sure people who have played this game know what I'm talking about, but there's one level in this game that really does like push you to your limits, especially in like how you use these new gameplay features. So yeah, this is a very fun game. It can get tough at times, but I really enjoyed it. Next up, we have Cyberpunk 2077 on the PlayStation 4. Once again, have not started this game yet. I waited quite a while before picking up this game, obviously because of the big controversies surrounding the launch of this game. But from what I've heard, there's a lot of patches for Cyberpunk. It is now like an actual playable experience, so I would like to give it a try, if anything just because I want to see what happened with this game. Next up, we have The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. So funny story about this game, this is surprisingly a game that I have also never played and have not yet started, which I feel like is so funny because they've released Skyrim like a billion times by now. You would think I would have bought at least one of the versions that they released, and Skyrim was like this big video game revolution when it first came out. So yeah, I definitely feel the need to play this game. I'm honestly waiting for the perfect time when I'm like in the right headspace to play this game. But yeah, I picked this up used, you know, since Skyrim has been released a billion times. It's pretty easy to find a good price for this, especially on the PlayStation, and I am looking forward to finally playing one of like the best games of all time. Speaking of best games of all time, we have Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. So funny story, I pretty much don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts. The only thing I do know about Kingdom Hearts is that one of our friends, Liz Bang, has streamed the Kingdom Hearts series on her Twitch channel. You guys should definitely go check her out if you like JRPGs. But she did actually play Melody of Memory, and if you guys have been here for a while, you probably know that I am such a sucker for rhythm games. So I also tried out the Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory demo, and I actually really enjoyed it. I was practicing so much in that game trying to get to like the top rank or whatever, and so I was like, okay, I'll actually go pick up the full game because I do like rhythm games. Once again, don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts, but I do like rhythm games, so we'll give this a shot. And speaking of JRPGs, we have Persona 5 Royal on the PlayStation 4. And actually, while I'm filming this video, Liz Bank is streaming this game on her Twitch channel. Once again, you guys should go check her out. I think Persona is like a very interesting series that I know absolutely nothing about. All I know is that I really like the art style of Persona. I think it looks really interesting. I feel like Persona music has become like its own genre. And then also they put Joker in Smash. Not gonna lie, I was one of the people where when it was announced that Joker would be in Smash, I thought they were talking about Joker from Batman. I'm not even kidding, like I seriously was so confused because I thought it was supposed to be the Batman Joker. And I was like, oh, this is a weird take on Joker. So yeah, I would like to actually get into at least one Persona game, and I hear Persona 5 is like the Persona game to play. Next up, we have Psychonauts 2 on the PlayStation 4. I have actually never played any of the Psychonauts games, but from what I've seen, it looks very much like classic 3D action platformers. Like any of the Psychonauts gameplay I've seen definitely gives you the vibes of GameCube or the original Xbox. And since I do love me some physical games, I made sure to get the physical copy before they like don't make them anymore. But yeah, this is another game on my backlog. This is one that I'm actually very much looking forward to playing. I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy this game. It seems like a very Nintendo-like game, which is like perfect for me. But you know what is not a Nintendo-like game? Red Dead Redemption 2. Similar to Skyrim, I know everybody and their mother has talked about the Red Dead Redemption series, but I've never actually gotten into these games. So I picked up Red Dead Redemption 2 while it was on sale, and it's still sitting on my backlog. I do want to actually get to this game one day. But yeah, I hear that everybody and their mother really likes this game. Next up, we have The Last of Us Part 2 on the PlayStation 4. So funny story, The Last of Us was actually the very first game that I played when I got my PlayStation 4 back in 2018, and I absolutely loved it. So of course, when Last of Us Part 2 came out, I was there day one. And then it turned out that this is a very like controversial game. There are some things that I absolutely loved with this game, but there are some things that I didn't really like about this game. But overall, I did enjoy my time with Last of Us Part 2. It is quite the emotionally draining game, which makes me very like scared to try and play it again. And actually, I made a video a while ago talking about whether or not there should be a Last of Us Part 3. You can go check out that video if you want to hear me talk about The Last of Us. Next, we have Life is Strange 2 on the PlayStation 4. I really enjoyed the first Life is Strange when it first came out. I feel like that game was so interesting. It was just like so weird with all of the like gameplay mechanics and you know how the story played out. So when it was announced that Life is Strange 2 would be focusing on these completely different characters, characters. That kind of freaked me out, I'm not gonna lie. But overall, I did enjoy Life is Strange 2, and I wish you could have seen my face when there were actually connections between Life is Strange 2 and the first one. Next up, we have Marvel Spider-Man. This was another one of the first games that I played when I got my PlayStation 4, and I absolutely loved this game. Swinging around New York was so much fun. It was just so satisfying being able to swing endlessly through the city. I honestly could probably just spend hours just doing the swinging. But also the combat is very satisfying. The combat in this game actually reminds me a lot of the combat in the Batman Arkham games, so this is a really great Spider-Man game. Next, we have SpongeBob the Cosmic Shake on the PlayStation 4. Once again, I mentioned this game in my video game collecting guide, but I was pretty disappointed with the performance of SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom on the Nintendo Switch. So when they announced the Cosmic Shake, I knew that I was gonna get it on something that was not the Nintendo Switch. So I ended up getting this game on the PlayStation 4. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. I don't know if it lives up to the older SpongeBob games like Battle for Bikini Bottom or even the SpongeBob movie game. It's pretty fun, it's pretty like quirky, and I'm also very glad that they did actually get full voice acting for this game. Like, that's super duper awesome. But yeah, I think this game is a pretty good SpongeBob game. Next up, we have Spyro Reignited Trilogy on the PlayStation 4. Once again, I talked about this in my collecting guide video, but similar to Crash Bandicoot, since Spyro was one of the original PlayStation mascots, I just think it feels right to play this game on the PlayStation 4. Next up, we have Tearaway Unfolded. So funny story about this game, I ordered this game online from GameStop used, and it came with one of the generic GameStop cases. There was pretty much no one selling just the case by itself, which meant that I had to basically put together my own case. So this is like a generic PlayStation case, and I had to like put together a makeshift cover for this game. So I looked on Google Images and I just found like the back, the side, and the front. I put it together, printed it on printer paper, and now we have a makeshift copy of Tearaway Unfolded. But as for the game itself, I absolutely loved this game. Very cool art style and aesthetic, somewhat similar to Little Big Planet and even like Yoshi's Woolly World or Crafted World. Well, I guess that makes sense because it's from the creators of Little Big Planet. Yeah, overall just a lovely experience. I really enjoyed this game. Next, we have Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. Obviously, since it took me so long to get into PlayStation, I have never played any of the Uncharted games. So I wanted to get the Nathan Drake collection, obviously because it comes with all of the main Uncharted games. And since I really enjoyed The Last of Us, I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy Uncharted. So I'm looking forward to finally getting into this series. Next up, we have The Walking Dead Telltale Definitive Series. Once again, this is another game that completely took the world by storm, but I've honestly never ever played in my life. I don't know why. I think it's partly due to the fact that it took me a really long time for like my attention span to develop, I feel like. But since this is very much a story-driven game with like a lot of dialogue and like reading, that probably made me not interested in the game when it first came out. But now that there is this collection with all of the seasons, I wanted to finally give The Walking Dead a chance. And finally, we have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on PlayStation 4, and yet again, another game that like everybody and their mother played and loved, but I've never seen in my life. I'm not gonna lie, there's something very like daunting to me about open world games, especially games like The Witcher 3 where it's like a massive world. I'm a little bit scared of how much I'm going to have to sink into this game, but since everybody loves it, I figured I definitely have to give it a chance. And now that I also have Cyberpunk in my collection, which is also CD Projekt Red, I guess it'll be nice to play The Witcher 3 and then compare it to Cyberpunk. But that is a look at my entire PlayStation 4 collection. PlayStation 4 is so funny to collect for, especially nowadays, because since the games are so cheap, a lot of times, you know, GameStop or whatever will run deals where it's like buy a certain number of PlayStation 4 games and get one free or whatever. And that's probably why I ended up with so many PlayStation 4 games that I have not even played yet. It's just really easy to find like used PlayStation 4 games for good prices. But anyway, let me know in the comments what games do you guys have in your PlayStation 4 collections. If you want to see another one of my video game collection videos, feel free to check out the one below. For now, thank you so much for watching. My name is Chase, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye!